When was the last time you wanted to say something, but decided not to?
Freedom of expression is the right of every person to express their opinions, thoughts, and feelings freely without any punishment. Since freedom of expression is expressing ourselves without any repercussions, many people have used this to its fullest extent. For example, many people have used this freedom to criticize their government when their government make a law or policy that they are not a fan of. Usually, they use social medias or maybe they take to the news if they have enough power.
In this digital era, social media platforms are created. This is a great place for people to freely express what they like, whether it's about celebrity, hot topics, and many more. Their thoughts can be shared publicly through videos, posts, notes, and many other forms. Viewers can also interact and share their ideas through comments, replies, as well as posts. Next is protesting in public, which has been done for decades until now. It can be a person to share their opinions or even thousands of people. This action often takes place in parks or sidewalks in order for their opinions to be heard and influence public's opinions. Opinions vary depending on the protest's goals.
Now, there are many other forms of freedom of expression, such as through radios, controversial books, and TV. Now, people do have rights to express freely about their own perspective on a certain topic. However, we all can express whatever we like, and we should all have limits because expressing opinions can create harm, spread hate speech, encourage violence and discrimination. And also, laws are taking a big role on limiting freedom of expression as it provides a balance of freely expressing and preventing misuse.
Now, it's time to see what the interviewees think about freedom of expression.
Based on your opinion, what is freedom of expression? And give out an example.
I think freedom of expression is a moment where you actually get to freely, where you actually get to freely express what you really want to express. That might sound redundant, but let me explain it. So here's the thing. I feel like freedom of expression is when you know who you truly are, yet some people might not understand and you want to tell them about your opinion. So in Indonesian, it would be kebebasan untuk berpendapat, and I think that's quite the same as freedom of expression. It's basically the way you are allowed to give out your opinions, give out your ideas, and give out your perspective on the world.
Kalau dari Pak Adi sendiri berbicara mengenai kebebasan berekspresi, berarti dalam setiap diri manusia itu berhak atau tanpa ada larangan atau tanpa ada aturan atau tanpa ada sesuatu hal yang membuat dia takut, ya dia bisa ngelakuin atau berekspresi sebebas dia mungkin. Dan bagaimana salah satu contohnya adalah seperti contoh menangis, itu semua orang berhak untuk menangis, semua orang berhak untuk tertawa tanpa harus ada larangan atau izin dari orang lain.
We are free to express how we are feeling about certain stuffs or personal stuff.
So freedom of expression, it simply means you are expressing your point of view on certain topics, depending on the topics that probably your class is talking about. So you simply state your point of view based on the topic. But for me, I think it should be expressed in a way that's respectful. Although it could be, yes, make sure you express your point of view, your ideas with respect.
Should freedom of expressions have limits? Why and why not?
Because it's freedom of expression, it should not have limits. But of course, as human beings who have decency, you should know when to limit yourself too. That might sound a little weird, but here's the thing. Freedom of expression means it's boundless. There's basically no stopping where you want to talk, but you as a human should also know basically when you should stop. You know what topics are sensitive or what parts you shouldn't really talk about. So, in a context where you're looking at this view generally, no, freedom of expression does not have a limit. However, if you are a human with sympathy or with understanding, then it does have limit.
Berekspresi ini emang harus nggak ada larangan dan segala macam. Karena ada dua hal yang bisa kita lihat ya, hal positif dan hal negatifnya. Kalau semisal kebebasan berekspresi ini dilakuin secara berlebihan tanpa ada batasan, ya pasti akan ada hal-hal yang bisa mengganggu orang lain.
Yes, because if it's too out of control, then you might say something that you shouldn't have said, and it might affect on how people look at you or how you consider things around you.
It doesn't have to have a limit. If you say there's a limit, it's not going to be freedom of expression anymore. But again, stay to the point where I say, be respectful. Yes, depending on anything that you're talking about, discussing. So feel free to express with a respectful manner.
Is freedom of expression will always bring good things? When will it become a threat for us?
Okay, so for this question, I know I can't pick like black or white. Basically, I can't pick between those two. For me, I'll just answer between both of the perspectives. The first perspective, if I say yes, it does bring good things. For example, when Indonesians critique the government because of their ridiculous policies, they fixed it, and now, well, not really now, but it could get better, like the economy, the environment, and so on. But sometimes those people who use the freedom of expression actually use it otherwise. It's not for the positive impacts, instead it's bringing negative impacts. For example, your friend is presentating. Okay, they might not be that good, but you critique it so badly, not even in a good sense of critique, you're just bad-mouthing them at that point. Bad-mouthing is also an example of freedom of expression which affects others negatively. So if I were to say, does freedom of expression bring positive impacts? Well, in today's world, normally it brings negative impacts. Because humans aren't a creature of pure innocence or so, because let's be real, we're sinful, and freedom of expression is just another way for us to badmouth other people or to use it for another person's disadvantage.
Kapan membawa kebaikan ya ketika kita berada dalam posisi atau porsi yang benar sih. Itu yang bisa membawa kebaikan. Ketika berada dalam porsi yang benar, kita berekspresi dengan benar, kita berekspresi tanpa harus mengganggu orang lain, menyakiti orang lain, yaitu baik adanya. Tapi ketika kita udah berada dalam tahap yang menyimpang atau berlebihan sampai harus mengganggu orang lain, baik mengganggu orang lain ataupun mengganggu diri kita sendiri, yaitu udah masuk ke dalam hal-hal yang menyimpang atau tidak perlu untuk dilakukan. Seperti itu aja sih dari Pak Ade. Yang penting tetap berekspresi, baik apapun yang terjadi dalam hidup kamu. Easy.
Oh man.
So as I said before, it might be a threat for us if we have no control over it, because freedom of expression will not always, because freedom of expression might lead us to say something that we shouldn't have said, because we might hurt someone's feeling, or we might say something personal.
Well, I believe that it can lead to positive result depending on how you express again. If you don't have the freedom of expressing your ideas or thoughts or opinions, you can discuss anything, any topic. So I believe eventually it's going to lead into positive.
After doing all of this interview, our team have come up with an agreement. And that is the fact that freedom of speech is one of the most important gifts that is granted to us by God. Without freedom of speech, we are unable to let our voice be heard and express our opinion or emotion. But it's also important to have limits. Freedom of speech means we can say whatever we want. That includes hate, and hate can seriously impact someone's mental well-being. So, as we use our freedom, let's choose to speak with wisdom, empathy, and respect. Because true freedom isn't just about the right to speak. It's about building a world where every voice can be heard without fear.